I've done everything that I can in my power. I didn't get it. What happens next?
Right.
We're still on hiatus from my TV show that I was on. What happens next is I go into this severe depression because what God has for you, he has for you. I say that because
Aloha and welcome to the Sick Burn Podcast, where we explore the bright side to life's darkest moments. Today we're joined by a guest that's so funny it's actually not fair. He's an actor, producer, writer, and internationally known comedian, but his path to stardom wasn't always paved in gold. I'm truly lucky to know him on a personal level and call him a friend, so please enjoy the wonderful wisdom and journey of CT Clayton-Thomas. Aloha, my man. Thank you so much for being here. We are with CT, and man, I just really appreciate you coming on because I just really look up to you on what you've built and the way you present yourself online, and you're just like honesty and your comedy, like it flows so naturally. But before we get too far ahead, we met in a very unlikely way, and I kind of want to talk about that. You know what I mean? So yeah, would you mind telling everybody kind of how we met, and so we can shut down some of the haters who like hate on video games all night?
Yo, man. So, wow, this is so funny. It's been that long already. So we were playing one of my favorite games, still to this day, even though it had its fair share of problems. We were playing Avengers.
Yep.
And as we were playing Avengers, like I had my squad and we were just looking for let me explain this to the people who don't understand. Let me go back.
Okay.
We were playing a game called Marvel's Avengers. It came out in 2019, September, I believe, but 2020, September.
Right.
We're playing, and it's a 4-player game. You can play online, and you can have a group party of a total of 4 people. Now, the thing about this game is they had certain maps that you could only play with people who had a certain power level. Right.
Yep.
And in my squad, I had about 7 alternating people that were in my squad, but only 3 of them were able to get to the power level necessary to get to another map.
Oh yeah.
But it took a long time. So there were 3 of us that had the power level and were ready to go, and we kept playing in these different rooms with these randoms, and these randoms were trash. The communication wasn't there. Their mics didn't work. They were never talking or communicating with us on how to properly get through. And then one day we get on and we have this special random that comes in and not only has a mic, but is extremely cool, extremely entertaining, extremely knowledgeable, and patient as we all navigate how to get to the next level. And that person was Thomas. And from that day, we were like, yo, you're super cool. Hey, man, can we play with you again? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. And we became friends on PlayStation. And then we just continued to play together. And then the friendship just grew and grew, man. And we have Marvel's Avengers to thank for that.
Right, yeah. One of the games the internet loved to shit on, but yeah, 100% felt the same way about you. I'm like, this guy knows what's up. He knows what he's doing. And it just went from there. And we've hung out like IRL now or in real life. And man,
was it Batman?
Yeah, we did Spider-Man and some other movies, but we have that in common. And I think it was crazy. Like, I don't know if you knew what my situation was before that. I think one of the first things I said to you was like, man, you didn't know I probably only had like 3 fingers on one hand. But we just like went in and give myself a little props. But that was such a fun time. And after kind of learning more about you, I just got to know you as a person and seeing what you've built in your career and like your journey. It's been nothing short of amazing, but I think, here at this podcast, it's really about where we're at our darkest moments, at our tough times in life, and then how we use that to carry on. Like, what are the lessons we learned and how do we transform that? And I couldn't think of a better person that I know personally than you, who just shines a light on so many great things and uses it to like propel their career. So if you wouldn't mind, I kind of want to jump into that. Like, where is that that situation, that dark moment you could think of, and let's kind of start there. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Cool, man. Well, first, let me start by saying this. It was so interesting because one, to also give you your props. When you were playing, this game was time specific on certain things. And when you told us your story on, your injury, and you're like, yeah, man, I only got 3 fingers. We're like, what? And you playing like this? Like you were playing
Yeah.
like you had 13 fingers. Like that's what was crazy. And then
Yeah.
another thing that I loved when we met up in real life, and you were like, yeah, man, and you were talking about your injury, almost self-deprecative. And I was like, hey, man, nah. Like, dude, you amazing. If you weren't amazing, you wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't be meeting up with us in real life. You wouldn't be hanging out with us. Don't ever look down on yourself for anything. Don't even make light of something because you dope as shit. And
Thank
as
you.
long as you know you dope as shit, that's the thing that carries through, because I look at it like this, man. Everybody's gonna have an opinion on you. Everybody's gonna find a way to shit on you. Everybody's gonna find some way to try and knock you down when you are feeling great about something. So
Mhm.
you don't ever need to assist in that, right?
I
Um,
love that.
a dark is real, man. A dark moment for me, for sure. So there's this TV show. Oh my God, I'm so glad I can smile about it now. So there's this TV show.
That's what this is all about. So I appreciate that
Uh,
you're going there.
Man, so the TV show was on Hulu, and it's called Woke, starring my good friend Lamorne Morris and T Murph. It's one of those shows that, let me break down what TV shows pay people. All right.
Mhm.
So if you are a series regular, you're making, and I'm telling y'all this because I hate watching TV shows or interviews and people talk about a show and they never give you real details. They just like, yeah, and it didn't work out. What, like, well, why didn't it work
Right.
out? Or how much were you going to get paid? You talking about life changing. So this is
Exactly.
2018. Um, I get a message in my Instagram DMs from this guy, and he says, hey man, I have been referred to you by this person, and this person. They say I really need to check you out. I'm doing this TV show, and the character apparently is you. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's check it out. And he's like, yeah,
That sounds like a
um,
dream. Perfect. Let's do
it
it.
does. And it's made me glad that I opened my Instagram DMs and check my messages. So he sends me the script, and I'm sorry, he sends the script through my agent because he asked me the agent's info. I do all that. I read the script and I'm like, yo, this character is me, right? The
Right.
character was in the script, the character was football build, um, sarcastic, best friend, lovable, all of that stuff. And I'm like, yo, I can portray this really well, not tooting my own horn, but I literally was just playing that exact same role without football player build on the
Mhm.
sitcom Family Time for 8 seasons. So we were finishing our 8th season while I'm messaging this man, and he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna tell you, it's a process. Um, they're gonna want to audition you, and you're gonna meet the director. The director wants to have dinner with you. And I'm like, I've never experienced anything like this. It's
Yeah.
always been audition, audition, and
That sounds
you
like a
might hear
dream
from us.
situation. I mean, that
Yeah,
doesn't happen where they say like director wants to come and actually have dinner with you, right?
exactly. So, first things first, the director wants to have dinner. The director, his name is Mo. Mo's a great guy. He's an incredible director. He's done so many different films and television shows. So Mo's like, all right, let's meet up at the Soho House. Now, if you've never heard of the Soho House, the Soho House is one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. They don't just have locations in LA, they got them in London and I believe Paris and New York. Like they're all over the world. They're
Yeah. All the
exclusive
hot
clubs that you have
spots.
to, you know what I mean? You got to be a member to be in there.
Yeah.
So he's a member and I'm his guest. I get there, we dine at the top of the building. You could overlook and see the entire city of LA. And he's just talking to me, getting to know me. And he's like, yeah, they like you. I was like, all right. He's like, yeah, they can't get enough talking about you. I'm like, hopefully that's a good thing. He's like, yeah, man, just knock out the audition and we go from there. It seemed like it's catered to you. And I'm like, man, I I'm honored, dude. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I'm very excited to be part of this. He's like, yeah, let's keep it going.
So
As we're
he's kind of
leaving,
like hyping you up in this moment where it's like, it seems probably to you, it's probably like a done deal.
yeah, and I'm really just I'm just enjoying the experience because I'm like, I don't know how this happens. This is my first time at this level. So we're leaving to go get our cars. And in Hollywood, it's always great when people that are of a certain status recognize you, right? So
Hmm.
we're leaving to get our cars. And who do we see coming into the Soho house as we're leaving? Marlon Wayans. I see
Oh,
Marlon Wayans, but
okay.
Marlon Wayans sees me first. And he's like, hey, what up, bro, boy? And he's excited. I immediately look at Mo
Yeah.
as he's witnessing this. And Mo's like, oh, who's this guy? He's got the juice if Marlon knows him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I
Damn,
hug
Marlon Wayne knows
Marlon.
him? Yeah.
I hug Marlon and I whisper in his ear, I was like, you have no idea how much you just helped me. And then we disperse.
For
And
sure.
Marlon goes in, I go my way. And the next thing was now we do the screen test, right? So what I had done before the screen test was I hit up Lamorne. I said, hey man, you are going to be the star of the show. You're leading this ship. Would you mind reading with me before I go and do my screen test so I could just be he was like, I'm already at the house. Open the door. Like, right.
Oh, okay. That's
Comes
a
to the
homie
house.
right there.
He's a great guy, man. And I'm so happy that he won his Emmy for Fargo. And he's always been well deserving. We've been friends since 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
When we were both we met through our good friend Brandon T. Jackson. So
Yeah,
um
he seems like an incredible dude. I saw the video of him winning the award and or hearing he was nominated with his daughter. Is that the same one? Man, he
well,
just seems like an incredible guy.
so kind, man, so down to earth, just very deserving, witty, super. So for this, he comes in the house. It's me and my wife there. He starts reading with me. We improv and we having fun in the script. We coming up with ideas, and then he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm working with a trainer. I'm
Mm.
getting it together for this show." I'm like, as you should. You about to be number one on the call sheet. It's time.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially coming off New Girl, where it was an ensemble. I mean, obviously there was the star, which was the girl, but the girl in the New Girl.
You're right,
But
right, right.
this was an ensemble situation. So now you're going from being ensemble and maybe third lead to being the star.
Mhm.
So now comes the screen test. Now, when you do a screen test, what happens is you sign a contract. You sign a contract of them telling you how much money you're going to make. Before you sign that contract, you guys negotiate the price that you want to be paid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for this particular project, there were me and three other guys that were up for this role, right? I didn't know that. I thought it was just me, but there were three other
Oh,
guys.
dang.
So
What are you
up for
feeling at this moment where you like now, you find out there's competition? What are you feeling?
I'm not really feeling anything because I'm like, this is me. This is described as me. So
Oh,
this
you
is
already
what
like
I'm thinking.
yeah, you still feel confident and you feel good about
Right.
it.
I'm like, yo, they're painting a picture of me. Besides the producer that I told you who had DM me in the first place, he and I on paper, not even on paper, without the hair difference, we looked similar. And this
Okay.
is based off his friendship with the creator of the show.
Mhm.
So, or co-creator, I should say. So what's up happening is I negotiate my price with my agent, and we were like, all right, we shouldn't go too high because we don't want to edge ourselves out. We don't want to go too low because then we look desperate. And
Mhm.
I remember one of the guys, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was an internet personality.
Come on.
He
You say no, no. I'm
well,
just-
this only reason I'm not gonna say his name is because this was his price point, and I don't want to give up his price point. But
Fair enough. Fair
uh
enough.
here's the thing: you could either have his name or you could have his price point.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go the price because
So
I'm more curious
okay.
about how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So his price point that he'd pitched, and this I got a very important part of the story. So there was a friend of mine, I'd known her since maybe 2009, and she'd been a supporter of my comedy since. She worked at Sony. So she worked at Sony, and it was a Hulu project. So it was basically a joint venture between Hulu and Sony. She was the person that was telling me, listen, when you negotiate your price, don't go too high, don't go too little, but I will give you numbers of what some of the other people are negotiating for themselves. I'm like, all right. She's like, I mean, I shouldn't be doing this,
That's good.
but
Yeah, that's good knowledge though. But
it's
yeah.
great knowledge because I would have went in way too low and not gotten an opportunity. So she was like, one of the guys, and is the internet personality, he's asking for $62,000 an episode. And I was like, whoa, right?
Whoa, yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy. Now keep that number in mind just
Okay.
as we go down the story. So then she tells me another guy's price point was $28,000 an episode. And I was like, that's still crazy, right? Because at this time, let me tell you where I am financially. I'm on the
Mhm.
other TV show, but this other TV show is paying my bills. I'm able to, live my life and all of that, but I'm
Mhm.
not balling out of control.
Right.
And
You're
we
not you're
were on
not
hiatus.
making that an episode, I'm guessing. Like you're not making
No,
26,000 an episode even,
no,
right? Although that's a crazy range too, from 26,000 to 64, what you said? That's like that's a huge jump too.
it's a huge jump. So I'm sitting there and we're in hiatus on this other show. And while we're on hiatus, I'm like, I'm not making no bread. I'm like, yeah, yeah, right. So I'm
Right.
hearing these numbers and I'm like, man, could you imagine if I'm able to make this money? Because for me, let me just put this very clearly. It's never been about the money for me to just be rich. I've
Mhm.
always looked at money as a way to literally provide for my family. And what I mean is not like I don't have any kids. It's me and my wife, and I have sisters. I have a mother, right?
Yeah.
These women are my family to where I want to take care of them and help provide for them and get them out of their situations
Right.
because I'm the only man in the family. So it's like I need to make sure that I take care of everybody. So for me, it's more than, ooh, I get to get this money and then I can go buy me a Lamborghini. No, it's like I get to get this money and I get a chance to pay this person's student loans off. I get a chance to get this person out of debt. I get a chance to get this person a house, and everybody's just being able to live a little bit more comfortably.
Oh man,
So
that's credit to you though too. That's wonderful, man. Yeah, I as an older brother myself, like
mhm,
I get that. Yeah, I do feel like I want to help them as much as possible. My sisters, or yeah, like I would love for my mom never to have to work again. And so you're
yeah,
probably having these thoughts of like, holy shit, I'm gonna be able to take care of so many people in my family. And like you're like, if I keep on that track, the Lamborghini will come. But right now, it's take
yeah.
care of my family.
Yeah, that was my only thought. It was like, all right, great. This is going to be me on TV, but this is going to be life changing for my family. So all these things
Mm,
are in my head. I come in and I believe my price, because I was like 28 to 62, I could do 43, but I also could do 38. So I think it was in between 38 and 43 that I negotiated and, was accepted.
ooh,
So when I come in to sign the contract, that number of 38 to 43 was on the contract. And I'm like, and that's a big contract. It's a lot of papers. And my mom always told me, you need to read every single thing that you're signing, right?
yeah,
I
that's great advice.
I listened to that advice in this moment, but I was like, hey, yo, come on before they change their mind, right? So I could have been promising them my firstborn child or something, but it was like, this is what I'm
Let's
seeing.
add.
So,
Yeah, yeah. I can't
and
see anything else besides these numbers right now. It's
I'm seeing
like,
the numbers. I'm also seeing a couple of important things like, the morality stuff and making sure, just not being an embarrassment to yourself and I sent them and the company and all of that. So it's
right.
time to go in. I go in. The casting director is Kim Coleman. Kim Coleman is a legend in the casting and entertainment. Keep in mind all these things I'm dropping. So I go in, I read, I'm in front of there are about six people. So some people from Sony, some people from Hulu, and then producers from the show itself. And of course Kim Coleman. So I'm reading, we having a great time. It's me and Lamorne doing our scenes. We're killing it. They see
Mhm.
the chemistry, like, oh my gosh, you guys are really friends. We're like, yeah, we're trying to tell y'all. And then there, Lamorne had done this song, And I was like, yo, remember you did this? And the cameras are still rolling. And then we started playing off the song. We get down to audition. That was on a Thursday. Friday, I fly out to Cleveland to do a show with Martin Lawrence in the arena. I'm opening up for Martin Lawrence at this point on tour, on the Lit
I
AF
mean,
tour.
that's a
And
flex in itself. Like, yeah, I feel like that's a story for another
yeah.
time. But uh, wh- okay, so that's already
Mhm.
impressive. I want to just quickly ask you, what are you feeling in this moment? You know, you're opening for Martin Lawrence. You don't know about the show. How do you feel?
I'm feeling like I'm finally getting to graduate. And what does that mean? That means when you're in high school or you're in college or junior high school or elementary, well, not so much elementary because you don't really know what life is, but like by the time you're in junior high school and college, you're ready to get to that next level. You feel like I paid my dues. I'm ready to graduate. I'm ready to get out of here. And in the moment of me signing that contract and being at Sony Studios, I see Gabrielle Union walk in like it's just casual. She just walks in, which, by
Wow.
the way, Gabrielle Union is one of the most naturally gorgeous women I've ever she was strikingly beautiful. And that's something to say
Right.
because one, Gabrielle Union is such an amazing actor, but in TV and film, I'd never been like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. But in person,
Right.
she was stunning, right? And this was just such a
Okay.
natural
Okay.
thing that I'm like, man, this is my life now. I'm sitting in the lobby of Sony Studios. Gabrielle Union walks by.
Right.
We
Right.
say hello. I'm, you know, I'm already praying. My wife's giving me all this good energy to go in here and knock out this audition and or the screen test. So I'm feeling like I'm finally arriving. So at the point where so the producer who would DM me, he was like, all right, man. So go in there, do your thing. And when I know, you'll know. Good or bad, I'll let you know what happened. I'm like, cool. So after such a great time we had at the screen test, I'm like, oh man, this is mine. Come on, how can you ignore what happened in that room? So I'm now in Cleveland.
Right.
I'm on edge because the show starts in 20 minutes.
How many people? How many people are at this stadium?
20,000.
Like, how many people are about 20,000 people you're about to perform in front of?
20,000 people. So
Okay. Okay.
I'm in, I had a,
It's a little bit of pressure.
well, you know, it's funny. It's a different thing because I'm used to that arena of stand-up comedy, not 20,000 people. I'm used to the thousands though of like performing. Glory be to God. I've had a lot of amazing opportunities to be in front of large amounts of people for stand-up. But I say that's something I'm comfortable with because I've been doing stand-up a lot longer than I've been doing um screen tests or these huge
Right.
auditions, right? This was my biggest audition in my life at that point. So what ends up happening is uh I'm in the car. It's 20 minutes to showtime. I'm waiting for this producer to hit me and he's not hitting me. And I sent him a text like, hey, do we know anything? And he's like, yeah, call you in a second. And
Right.
I say, hey man, I'm about to go on stage in 20 minutes in front of 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me what's up? Like my heart is beating through my chest. He's like, oh yeah, I got you.
Okay. Yeah.
He calls me. He's like, hey man. And I was like, come on, man, give me the news, baby. What's going on? He's like,
Right.
uh,
Right.
they decided to go with somebody else. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And
Oh,
he's like, man,
so
so
tough.
here's the thing. Hulu wanted you. But no, he said Sony wanted you, but had uh Hulu had somebody else that they wanted. And I was like, oh
Mm.
man. I was like, what was it? He was like, honestly, you're not gonna believe it. But they said you guys had too much chemistry. I said, get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? He's like, they said y'all had too much chemistry. They wanted to see more of a contention, like something more like
Yeah, like you guys butt
yeah,
heads
they
a little
wanted to
bit
see that.
more.
And I'm like, okay, I'm an actor. How about we just do that? And he was like, man, I wanted to
Right.
see it in the room. He was like, I'm sorry, man. So it's not over. It's not over, but they went on forward with the other 2 guys. I said, "Cool. Thanks so
Wow.
much, man. Great to hear it." I get off the phone with him. I'm about to be destroyed. I call Lamorne. I say, "Hey, man, just want to say thank you for helping me, and to let you know, I just got off the phone with yeah, yeah, yeah." And he said that they went forward with the other 2 guys and not me. They wanted more of a combative thing. And he was like, "No, fuck that." I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "Fuck that." You know what I mean? If that's what they want, you got to go after this role. If that's what they want, then you need to submit another tape with you doing just that. And I was like, "But
Right.
I'm out of town. How am I going?" He's like, "Man, you'll figure it out." Now I'm hopeful again. We get
Wow.
off the phone. I go in there and to perform. I rock that shit into the show. I get on the road and I drive.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
one thing? Can I ask you one thing? Do you feel like that high and low that you were on, do you feel like you put that into that performance that night?
No, I was completely detached. Yeah, by the
Really?
time I got on stage, nothing else mattered except for the jokes. So I was able to just like compartmentalize. I'm good at compartmentalizing. I'm not gonna
Wow.
really bring
That's amazing.
yeah. So I drive to the next city, which is Detroit. We're doing Detroit Saturday. So I
Hometown,
yeah, it's
right?
my hometown, man. So I get on the phone, I hit
Yeah.
my buddy in Detroit who's an actor, and I say, "Hey man, I need to record this audition. Can you help me?" He's like, "I got you. If you can get somebody else, get them because I kind of got a busy day, but if not, I got you." I say, "Cool." I call one of my homegirls. She's also an actor. I say, "Hey, I need somebody to help me self-tape." She's like, "Oh, I can't do it, but I can help get you a cameraman to help you." I'm like, "Cool, nothing too serious." Like the way we do it in LA, self tapes are usually $60 an hour or less or more, but just like
Mhm.
around that. And just to give you that knowledge. So she was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just set you up with my guy. I'm gonna give you a couple of numbers." I call these guys. I say, "Hey man, she gave me a number. I'm trying to do a self tape. Can you help me?" Yeah. I'm like, "Okay, cool. What are your rates?" This dude was like, "Oh man, just give me 500 and I got you." And I was like, this is an audition. This is not me filming a short film. $500 is crazy. I'm not about to negotiate with
Right,
this
right.
dude to tell him how things work in the business. That's his price. I say, "Hey man, thanks so much. No thanks." Next guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Huh?
no, my question is like, okay, so if someone else is listening to this, they're hearing you're on Martin Lawrence's
Mhm.
tour, they're like, is $500 a lot to you at this moment?
That's a great question.
You know?
It's not about the price being a lot. I mean, it's not about what money is to me at that time. It's about this is
Mhm.
okay, perfect example. What's your favorite snack?
Ooh, oh man, this is embarrassing. I'm gonna say
Okay,
Oreos.
perfect.
But that's not really a snack. I'm gonna go with like spicy nacho
Even
Doritos,
better.
which my sister just showed me recently.
Even
Yeah,
better.
okay.
Those chips are no more than $7 if you get the big bag. Okay.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
someone, if you go into a store and that store tells you it's going to be $30 for that bag of chips, what's your reaction going to be?
Oh, yeah, no way. I'm not buying
That's
that.
my point. So that it's not that $500 is a lot. It's the fact that this does not cost $500. That's my point.
I
So
gotcha. That makes sense.
it was one of those dudes that's trying to get this amount of money because he sees me on this tour or he looks and sees how many followers I have and it's like, "Oh, I'm about to get rich off this guy." And my thing is this, and this is to anybody who's watching, my thought process has always been to eat steak forever. I'm not the type of dude to try to just eat steak for one night. What does that mean? That means
Mhm.
instead of trying to get rich off of me for $500 this one situation, why not be like, "Hey man, I know the going what are the going rates for doing a self-tape for somebody?" Either you look it up or you ask around or you ask me. And I tell you, I say it's $60 an hour. But the fact that this is so last minute, I might throw you $100 just because you helped me.
Mhm.
Or I might tip you on top of
Right,
that,
right.
whatever. Why not be that guy? And then what ends up happening is because I had done this that whole time. What ends up happening after that is, "Yo, man, you really looked out for me doing this self tape for me. I'm filming something else in LA. I like your style. Can I fly you out and you film this for me?" Or, "Hey, I'm actually on tour right now. Can I have you meet me in a
Mhm.
couple of cities and you record me? And this is the rate. I'll take care of this. I'll take care of that." That's how
Right, so now you're eating steak more nights
exactly
than just the one
because
time.
you trying
I
to eat the steak
gotcha.
the one time lets me know that you're just hungry right now. You don't have foresight. And if you don't have foresight, I'm not trying to work with you anyway. But also to charge damn near, I don't even know the percentage on that. To charge 6,000%, I don't know what it is. It's like over the amount of what a self-tape costs is crazy. So anyway, I end up hitting my good friend and I say, hey man, so he helps me. He works out a schedule and he helps me. I get that tape, I send it in. The producer hits me a couple days later. He's like, ah man, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I was like, what are you talking about? You said they wanted this. I sent it. I didn't want to give up. And he was like, nah, man, I hear you. But, they made their decision. They didn't really want to give the opportunity to look at another tape and all of that. I'm like, all right, well, I've done everything that I can in my power. I didn't get it. What happens next?
Right.
We're still on hiatus from my TV show that I was on. What happens next is I go into this severe depression because it no longer became let me tell you why. Mind you, the very beginning of this, and you might have learned by me dropping their names, the stars of the show woke, my good friend Lamora Morris and my very, very good buddy T Murph. T Murph is who booked the role that I had. Now, T Murph, I told you the character description, and this is another thing. I'm gonna tie this in 3 ways.
Okay.
1, the character description. I told you the character description was me. Football build, 6 foot, 6'1", all of that. Lovable, bam. T Murph is 5'3", 5'4". I know.
That couldn't be more different in height.
Couldn't be more different. He's also very sarcastic as far as his delivery with this role, right? So that's another thing that was different from the description. And then the third thing that I'll say as far as this is what God has for you, he has for you. I say that because here I am telling you the roll call for me. I had these meetings. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved me. I did not get this role. I never heard any of that for T Murph. And this was a blessing that was specifically for T Murph. What did T Murph do? They did 2 seasons of the show. The first season, he goes in regular body and he's killing it. He's doing his thing. They have that combative type relationship to friendship. It fits. Short, tall, fits. Yeah. I'm not sure in hindsight, my size comparison to Lamorne would have been a win on screen. Not talking myself out of the blessing that I wanted, just being realistic.
Interesting.
The third thing is season 2, T Murph went and got in that gym. If you look at T Murph right now on social media, that man is yoked. I'm talking about he's ripped. He looks like a straight up physical fitness guru. Like he's
yeah, we like Hugh Jackman or
he's the Jax man, but he's not like Hugh. He's like,
Right,
he's yoked up. He looks great. He's went on to do so many different things and continue to do so. And I love him and he's still my incredibly good friend. I say all of that to say that blessing, no matter how much I wanted it, wasn't for me. But at that time, I'm not knowing that. The only thing that I thought about during that time was I genuinely was happy for T Murph because we both came from a similar thing. And he has a completely different life. He got kids, he's got a wife, he's got things that he has to take care of too. So this money would have blessed either of us to be able to take care and provide for our family. Fast forward.
Right.
I go into this depression because I'm like, man, I really wanted that. But I realized that I did not really want that for the right reasons. As you've heard me telling this story, it wasn't about, man, I get a chance to play this character and man, I get a chance to do these episodes and be able to be seen on a national and international level. For me, the thing that I've been bringing up since the beginning of the story is the money. I've been thinking about the money because it's money that I did not have and it was money that I wanted to use to take care and provide for my family. With that said, stay with me. This was 2018. So top of 2019, because this was November 2018. Top of 2019, I'm still down in the dumps. I hadn't made no money. And I had been doing all these Instagram videos, but Instagram, especially at this time, wasn't paying, right? Especially wasn't paying me. We didn't have ads on videos and stuff like that. And badges weren't invented. The only thing, we could barely just go live at that time. So I ran into a buddy of mine. I was like, I'm about to just start shooting content and get my mind off this. I'm gonna build my numbers up and Hollywood will come calling. I ran into a buddy of mine, Big Jai, and I said, "Hey man, let's shoot some content." He's like, "Cool." So he comes to shoot with me, and the minute he comes to shoot with me, we're in the middle of a take, and this didn't happen just like 5 times. This happened continuously. Different people came up, "Hey, Big Jai, to the max. Hey, what up, no Big Jai? To the max. What up, no Big?" Like all of this stuff. And I'm looking at him,
Right,
and
right.
Big Jai, his name is Jade. Jade is my friend. He's been my friend for a
Mhm.
decade plus. He was the videographer at my wedding. Like he's family, right? And I say to him, I
Right,
say, "Hey
yeah.
man, what did I miss? Like, did you get famous?"
Yeah, yeah, like, what why does everybody know
Yeah.
you all of a sudden? You're like, "I didn't know you got it like that."
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? And if you ever meet
Yeah.
Big Jai, he's one of the most humble people on the planet. He's like, "Oh, a couple of videos been doing well." Like that's how he speaks, right? I
Okay,
go to
yeah,
his
yeah.
page. He's already hit 1 million followers on YouTube, subscribers, right? I'm
Wow.
like, "Oh, you blew
Uh-huh.
up. I get it. That's why everybody congratulations." And he and I start having a conversation. He
Mhm.
starts telling me about YouTube and why he took it seriously. He's like, "I took it seriously once I saw that I had," I think he said it said 0.01 cents or 0.09 or something like that. And it showed he was
Okay, yeah, he
monetized.
saw, like, a fraction of a dollar in there and was like, "Oh, wait, you can make money?"
So he said once he saw that, he was like, "I'm about to be on it." And then he took it to where he took it. And then he was like, "Yeah, man, YouTube is paying real money. You need to start doing it." I say no more. That day, I took everything that we
Right,
shot
right.
and I took other stuff that I had shot from Instagram, did compilations, posted it on YouTube, and was just, building my subscribers and just waiting to get monetized and all of that stuff. Long story long, I posted 7 videos a day from January 2019 until May of 2019. I was posting 7 videos a week,
Holy
and
Right, which is like people think, "Oh, it's whatever, you're just putting videos," but to think of all those ideas and then to show up and then to actually record it and edit it and all the stuff actually takes a lot of brain power and a lot of work.
it's so much, man. And at the time, I'm just hungry for it. I was trying to. Anytime something new happens in my life creatively, I dive into it. I have like an addictive personality. That's why I don't drink or smoke because I don't want to be out
Yeah.
there like that. But my creativity, once something new comes along, I'm like, I'm all about it. So I had dove into
Well,
doing YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. I had kind of pulled back from Instagram because Instagram still wasn't paying. So I just focused on YouTube and
right,
Facebook.
right.
And for me,
But what but my question is like, where do you go from being like, "So I'm depressed, I didn't get this opportunity," to, "I have the drive to make 7 videos a day." Like, what do you start telling yourself to get to that point?
Well, so the videos, it was 7 videos a week. I would shoot about when I had a
A
shoot
week.
day, I would shoot like 7 to 12 videos within that shoot, and then I would edit them and then drop them one each day just so I was never, starving for content. Like, it wouldn't be a day where it was dry from seeing me on YouTube. It's just like I hit the algorithm and they showed me love and I kept going. The drive came from
Wow.
I felt like I failed at this other thing. So, like, they didn't want
Mm.
me over here, but these people are starting to show me that they do want me over here, which is giving me this validation and it's picking me up out of my depression, right? So, that's where the drive to do
Interesting.
this came from, and then on top of that, I was like, "Man, what if this pays me more than I'm making anywhere else?" So,
Yeah.
um so YouTube will tell you you won't get a payout unless you've made at least $75 or $100. You got to hit that threshold and then you get paid. So I didn't make that threshold before the end of January, but I did make it for February. And I say all of that to give you this long story that the money I would have made on the show Woke for that first season,
Mhm.
I made way more money than that by the end of 2019. So, I was
Wow.
able to do things to help provide for my family. So, all of that
Wow.
end up helping me, not only realize what God has for you, he has for you, but also to realize that just because you didn't get one opportunity doesn't mean another that is better for you won't come along.
God, that's awesome. That's amazing. It worked out probably so much better than you could ever have
Yeah, because
realized.
I was my
Oh,
own boss at that point. I didn't have to, uh I didn't have to get anybody's approval to do content except the people. And thankfully the
Yeah.
algorithm that was showing it to the people. And you know, I've fallen out of the algorithm since then, but it was a good run.
Man, that's incredible though. I mean, a legendary story. And it's like some things you think you lose something. I mean, for me, it was very clearly like I had no doubt in my mind I was going to be a commercial
Yeah.
airline pilot. Not one doubt in my mind. I'm like, this is happening. And then my life literally flipped upside down in one day. And I was like, how do I rebuild? How
Mhm.
do I go from here? And I even think like hearing your story, even though they're so different in some ways, like there's this expectation of the way your life's going to go, and then it doesn't go that way. And it's how do we pick ourselves back up? So when you're in these moments, you're obviously you're at where you're at. You're doing incredibly well. Like you're nationally known
Mhm.
now. What do you tell yourself when you get in those moments of like I lost something, and like this I thought this was for me. Your expectation of something it doesn't turn out that way. What are you telling yourself internally?
Well, just to make a slight correction, internationally known, brother. These people, yeah,
Oh, okay, my bad, my
I've
bad.
been out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
They've been letting me know they know who I am. No, but I'm kidding.
Yeah, no,
So
no, you're right. You're right. My bad.
it feels great. To say it feels great is an understatement, man. It feels there's a level of validation that happens when you're true to yourself and people enjoy you for it, right? So I'd always used to say, and this happened back when I was in drama class in high school. My drama teacher used to tell me, Clayton, you are so talented, but you don't want to put in the work and you think everything should just come easily. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, if you just worked hard, you would get the things that you want. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then she also told me this is the thing that also got me.
Yeah.
There was a play called Murder in the Magnolias that we did in high school. I love a good murder mystery. And she
Mm,
told me, you're going to be playing the role of the sheriff, Sheriff Billy Jerk. And Sheriff Billy Jerk was the villain of the story, right? And I'm like,
mm.
no, I don't want to be the villain. I want to be the good guy because the good guy gets to kiss the girl. And she was like, babe, trust me. You want to be the villain. He has better lines. He has better scenes. He's more memorable. The good guy does nothing. I was like, I hear you. But the girl you got playing the girl kisses the good guy.
Mhm.
And I want to kiss that
Right,
girl.
right.
And she's like, I'm sorry. I want you to be the villain. And I was so mad. And I
Mhm.
end up playing the villain. And I'm not saying this to make myself look good. This is true. This DVD, that's how long ago it was. This DVD is probably still available. And it's probably streaming in Oak Park, Michigan on the public access channel. Um, anyway,
Okay.
I do the play. We do 2 shows. The first show, no matter how much we rehearsed, completely forgot my lines.
Okay.
Completely forgot my lines. And what ends up happening,
Yeah, off to a strong
off to
start.
a
I
strong
love it.
start, me and the cast start improvising. And but we're still doing the same beats. We just forget our lines. So the
Right.
crowd loves it. Second show, I remember some of the lines, right? But I go into performance mode because this is my first time in front of a live crowd, right? So end of the play, we get a standing ovation. And my drama teacher comes up and she says, see, you played the villain and you stole the show. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. You were right. I should have believed it. So now fast forward all of this time,
Wow.
I've realized that I'd rather people love me for what I want to do or they hate me for who I really am instead of loving me for someone I'm not. And the internet
Yeah.
was able to do that for me during a long time. Like they rocked with who I really am instead of who I was portraying myself to be. Like it's easy to pretend that you're a good guy all the time. And then people are like, oh, I like this guy because he's a good guy and he doesn't say this and he doesn't say that. And then the moment you
Right.
do something, they turn on you. But it's like, I've been authentically me this entire time. and I found my people and hopefully continue to find even more. So it felt great to discover that I could do it and that I had people who believed in me around me enough to want to do it with me. I didn't make
Yeah,
those videos by
that's
myself, you know
incredible,
what I mean?
man. Yeah. Where do you find that authenticity, and where do you find that courage to be you? Because I think so many people these days, and especially like I really had to take a big look in the mirror and I really didn't like what I
Mm,
saw after my accident. I looked at me and was like, was I really being myself? Was I really talking about the things I wanted to talk about? And was I really like, putting myself out there? And I think this podcast is an exploration of that. It's like I always felt this way about people and I've always been positive and I've always wanted to like share, hope for people, but always thought it was a little cheesy,
mm.
or I thought like, man, people are going to rag on you for that. But like you show up in this way that is so authentic and it's still so funny and it's still so genuine. And like, I just fuck with it very heavy. Where does that come from in you?
You know what, man? I think, and this is gonna sound so corny, but and I
Please.
say this to them all
Yeah.
of the time, but I don't think they really believe me. It came from Power Rangers, bro. Like I grew up watching
Wow.
the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and
Dude, I did too. I love the Power Rangers, but I did not expect you to say that.
I grew up watching Power Rangers, and it was one of those shows that they how do I say this? Power
Yeah. I
Rangers
mean,
Power
yeah.
Rangers was a show that they taught you this is right, this is wrong. You want to build teamwork with your friends. You want to help people that can't help themselves. You want to stand up to the bullies and don't let them bully weaker people. You want to go save the day. And all of this stuff happens and you never take the credit for it because they're the ones saving the world, but not once when somebody was like, "Oh, I love the Power Rangers," did one of them say, I'm actually a Power Ranger." You know what I mean?
Right,
So
exactly.
my outlook on the world very early on was that of a hero, the hero that doesn't
Mm,
get celebrated. Like I looked at it in levels and layers that to this day still astound me. Um, you do all of this hard work, you don't get the appreciation. You put yourself after others and you don't get appreciated. You do all of these things not for the credit, but because it's right. And I was like, that left such a profound thing on me that the outlook has always been there. The first time I exhibited that energy, I was 9 years old. My father came to the house and he brought me my birthday present. And in him bringing me my birthday present, he said, "Hey, so I just wanted to tell you, um, I'm moving." I was like, "Okay, where you moving?" I'm thinking he
mm,
moving to a different house, and he was, but the
mm.
house was in Virginia compared to Detroit. And I was like,
Oh,
"Why are
wow.
you going to Virginia?" And he's like, "Well, I found a new job and it's closer to my wife's family, and we're gonna be down there." And I was like, "But you leaving me?" And he was like, "No, no, no,
Right.
I'm not leaving you. You gonna still be able to visit me as much as you want. You can spend the summers down there. I've been talking to your mama." And I was like, "Okay." And in that moment, I remember having the thought of saying, "Dad, please don't leave me. I
Yeah.
I don't want you to leave me. What is making you want to leave me?" That was a thought that I had when I was 9 years old. But
Wow.
what I
Yeah,
did
that
was
seems tough.
I said, "Okay, well, I'm glad that you guys are going to have a house and that I'll be able to come see you." That's what I said. And
Mm,
at that moment, the reason I said that was because in my mind, as this little boy, what would whining and making him feel bad or worse than he was already feeling, because that has to take a lot to tell your son, "I'm moving away." What would that have done
yeah,
for
you're right.
either of us? Instead of me seeming like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a big boy," and let me say that I'm happy for my dad so he doesn't feel bad about his decision. And then this is for the greater good. So that was something that I was like, let me put somebody before myself. Another perfect example, my mom.
Wow.
My mom,
I mean, one that's just incredible though, man. Like to have that insight as a child though is yeah, I mean, it's just so impressive. It's amazing. I just want to
oh,
give you
thanks,
credit
man.
on that
But
one.
it all stems
Yeah.
from the Rangers. Like seeing is this scripted, cheesy-ish television show that people will rag on, but a lot of
Yeah.
the lessons that I learned were from it. And then you fast forward to my senior year in high school. My mom always worked 2 jobs, it was never really enough, and she was just providing for me and my sister and all of this stuff, and she told me right before prom, this is like a month or 2 before prom, she was like, "Now tell me when prom is so I can get the money together so you can go to prom," and I was like in that moment, I was like, "Man, this is gonna be difficult for her to pay for prom."
Yeah.
If you're telling me ahead of time like this, that means whatever money you're going to save up to give me for prom could go to something else, and let me take this pressure off of you. And in that moment, I said, "Oh, I
Right.
don't even want to go to prom." She was like, "What? You got to go to prom?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to go to prom." And she was like, uh, huh? And like she was so shocked by this.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to go." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she walked off not knowing why I said what I said, but she left it alone. And the truth of the matter was, yeah, I mean, I'm not a dancer. So at the same time, I wouldn't have been dancing at the prom, but I did have a girlfriend. And my girlfriend was like, "Yeah, what the colors
Mhm.
are we wearing? What's the information for this?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not going." And she was shocked. So that was one of the things that I
Yeah.
had made the decision, this is for the greater good. Let me not be selfish in this moment and make this lady save up more money just for something that's only for one night where, that money could go to something else or ease her stress off of something. And I can be the hero that isn't celebrated, but I know I did the right thing. And that stuff comes from stuff
Man.
like Power Rangers. So the whole outlook on things just came from learning these lessons as a kid, seeing these lessons be exhibited, and just trying my best to be a hero. And I fall short a lot, but the times that I do show up need to be studied.
Man, that is incredible. I love that. I love like the moral base. I can relate to it. I was a Power Rangers kid, an X-Men kid
Mm.
growing up. Like I think those lessons still stick with me. You're just incredible. And I
Thank
think
you,
that's
man.
just wonderful insight on like how important it is to have a good foundation, but also like the perspective you have on yourself when you're younger, how it can carry you through your whole life. So man, that is
I'm gonna
so
give you this,
impressive.
man.
That's incredible.
For you,
Yeah.
this is something else that you had said once we had become friends. We were like, you were like, "Yeah, man, I was in an accident and all of this." And we were like, "All right, well, what's your IG?" Like, we want to see, like, at this point, all of us were showing each other who we
Yeah.
are. Like, everybody knew me because I already
Right,
had
right.
this
Yeah.
persona online. So I'm like, let's see everybody. And you were hesitant. And then you were like, "All right, man." And you gave me the page. And I go to the page and you were like, "Yeah, if you look, uh, a lot of those are me before the accident, and recent is how I am now." And I was like, "You don't look
Mhm.
any different. The only difference that you look is the hair length." You know what I mean? Like everything that you start to
Right,
realize
right.
about someone's appearance it's usually shown through the light in them. When you see a girl that
Mm.
you think is attractive, you usually find her attractive outside of her having ridiculously big appendages, we'll say. You
Right,
see
right,
the
right.
light in her to where you're like, "Oh man, she's beautiful because she's shining through my phone or the computer screen." So for you, it was like, "Man, this dude who's post accident and pre accident are the exact same person because that light is there." The only difference that I saw
Wow.
was the hair length and you wearing hats. That was the only difference. So my thing with hearing
Yeah.
you and your journey is it was like I had heard in your voice at that time. I don't hear it anymore. At that time, I had heard
Mhm.
the the pain of what you might have felt that you lost. And what you didn't know
Yeah.
was that while we were playing those games and we were talking and laughing and chatting, that light isn't just a visual thing, it's an audio thing. And your
Mm.
voice the things that brought you joy shine through and made a lot of my days better. So thank you for that.
That's too that's too kind,
Truth,
man.
man.
Like, yeah, I wow, that really touched me. I really, really do appreciate it. That's so nice to hear. And yeah, I think you do that for so many people. You continue just to be your authentic self and wonderful and turn, situations that, maybe would piss off people or wouldn't either way into these hilarious moments. I love that. Yeah, I don't want to ask you too much more because I know you're busy, but the last thing I'm kind of curious about is currently right
Mhm.
now, again, you've done so many wonderful things. What's giving you peace, or when do you find the most peace?
Mm. You know what's funny? That's a two. I guess it's a three part. So what really brings me the most peace? One is when I get a chance to lay in bed next to my wife. Right, that's very peaceful. Like she brings me a level of peace that is so calming, soothing, and just warm. When she when I
Mm.
make her smile, like not the Hollywood smile, like not that shit, but it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
when you
Like
see
this.
the smile,
Yeah,
you ever look
yeah.
back at your picture as like a kindergartner or whatever, and you were just like smile, like that's your real smile.
Yeah, yeah.
And when
Okay.
I make her smile, her kids smile, like and her cheeks raise and her eyes get bright. That's very peaceful to me. The second thing would be
Mm.
when I'm post family call. Like if I just got off the phone with my mom or my sister or my other sister or my nephew and we've all said I love you, caught up for a second. I get off the phone with them and I'm able to just like get on my game. That shit brings me peace because it's like, oh,
Mm.
I needed this reassurance in my life. The third thing that brings me peace is when I'm in a movie theater. I've found
Mm.
joy in uh recharging in watching movies. So, and it could also be transformed into like a TV show that I'm watching in the man cave. But if I'm in a movie
Yeah,
theater
yeah. No.
and I'm submerged or surrounded by this story, there's no other distraction. I'm just in the moment. I'm watching this movie. The sound is blaring. The emotions are getting me because I'm so enthralled in this. That brings me peace because I'm able to escape. I'm able to escape if I've had a depressing
Yeah.
moment. I'm able to escape if I have anxiety about something. I'm able to escape because nothing else matters except this movie. I might have my snacks or I might have brought something to eat into the movie. I got my drink and
Yeah.
I'm just able to go into a different world. And depending on
Mhm.
that movie's message or how it's made me feel, can intensify it. Like, we saw Mufasa the other night, and I don't know how it's doing in the
Oh,
theater. I don't
nice.
know how it's making money or if it's not making money, but that shit was so good to me because I'm a Lion King
Mm.
fan. The first Lion King is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, kid or not. And this movie I didn't like the wraparounds, like the inserts of Timon and Pumbaa and all of that stuff. I get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, all right, let's stay in the Mufasa story. But I loved it because it was such an adult themed movie and it gave you lessons. But all of that shit brings me peace to answer your question.
Man, that's why we're friends. As I love movies too. I love getting lost in
Yeah.
stories and putting myself in other characters' positions and all that stuff. 100%. Uh, yeah, such a good answer, man. So last
Mhm.
thing, so two parts to this is I know you got to get going, but if somebody is at their lowest moment right
Mm.
now, they're hitting their rock bottom, what's one piece of advice you would give them? And then following up after anything that you've got going on currently, where can people find you and support you?
If you've hit your rock bottom, it can't get any worse. That's the crazy thing. I think so many people think
That is
you
true.
think that as
Yeah,
soon
yeah.
as you are down and you're like, "Oh, I've reached this moment where all hell done broke loose," it's not gonna be any worse than that feeling. So it's only going to get better. And knowing that it's gonna get better, you are free. It's like you look at somebody who is
Mm,
homeless, they're free. They're free from
free. Yeah.
bills. They're free from responsibility. They get a chance to roam and do what they want, right? if at any moment they decide, all right, I'm done being homeless, they can take the steps if they want to go about life how they decide, right? If they say,
Right.
I'm going to get a job, or I'm going to do something to make actual money and then get into a better position. Or, you know what? I'm really good at building things. I'm going to build me a house. Whatever the case may be, is them to decide.
Yeah.
But it's like once you've reached rock bottom, it's going to get better. And you get a chance to create what you think that better is. As somebody who's hit rock bottom several times in his life, I knew in those moments, outside of one, I say, yo, God, rebuild me better than I was before. And you can't beat that, because in your mind, you hitting rock bottom, you fell from a grace that you thought was the best. And I'm sitting here telling you, as somebody
Yeah.
who's hit a rock bottom before, that previous me was nothing compared to who I am now. But you hold on to this thing thinking that, oh, I'm never going to be better than that. And it's like, yeah, you will, because that person hadn't even reached a height that you could even appreciate. And the second thing, what do I have
Yeah.
coming
Or
up?
even understand, probably. Like, you can't even
No,
fathom this new level,
no, you
right?
can't even fathom it. It's like when you first get down to do a push-up, you're like, man, this is hard. And then if you keep at it, 6 months from then, you're like, oh man, I just started doing one arm push-ups yesterday. This is pretty easy. It's not easy. It's just something that
Right.
you've consistently done and gotten better at. So rock bottom is a perspective, but it's also something that you can change if you want to change. You can change almost anything that you want. Um, and coming up is, believe it or not, a lot of different things. The first thing is I am on this new animated show called Lil Kev
All
that
right.
is going to be premiering on BET Plus this spring. I am also on a Disney show. I don't know if they changed the name of it or not, but you'll see me in the Disney show. It's a really dope show, and we're actually gonna go back to filming in 2 weeks. And then
All
outside of
right.
that, I am still working with Martin Lawrence. I just started working with a comedian named Desi Banks, and my own stand-up dates. And I will be creating more content. Oh, and the wrestling podcast, Before the Bell. We talk wrestling. I love it. It's the best thing to let out inner childhood me.
Oh man, it's such a good
Thank
podcast.
you,
Your
man.
guys' dynamic is amazing. And yeah, I'm not even a wrestling fan, but every time I see the clips, I'm like, God, they're having so much fun. And like, you guys are laughing on stuff. CT, you're such an incredible person. Thank you so much for taking your time. It's an honor. I truly feel honored to call you a friend. I feel like I learned so much from this conversation, and I just can't wait to see how you bless other people out there, and just keep doing your thing and keep rising, man. You're just an incredible
Man,
person.
I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you, man. And you have made some very hard days easier. And appreciate your friendship. I'm gonna tell you this right now, boy. We're going to see Superman Legacy. So that's the next one that's on
Yes.
because
That's
Marvel
happening.
is
That's
your joint.
happening.
You know what I'm saying? The Spider-Man's all that.
Yeah,
Superman is my guy. So July, we're going to see Superman. So be ready to come up to LA, because that's what we're doing.
100%. 100% I'm there. Thank you so much, CT.
My
Appreciate
man.
it. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Sick Burn Podcast. It was an absolute pleasure having CT on and having him share his wisdom. His story is a testament to the resilience and laughter that can emerge even from life's biggest challenges. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with as many people as you think could use some of that inspiration. The whole goal of this podcast is to inspire and give people tools to better get through their own lives. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Sick Burn Pod. And if you have an inspirational story or know someone who does that needs to be shared, please message us at Sick Burn Pod or at thomas@sickburnpodcast.com. Until then, keep finding your own light in the dark, and aloha.